when he heard what he believed was either fireworks or gunfire and a lot of people screaming coming from that area. He was able to get into the courtyard, see the suspect, who's 22-year-old Samario Austin. And Samario was walking up and down the hallways carrying 2 guns at the time. At the same time, we had received over 30 911 calls about Samario Austin in the hallways firing off his guns. We have about 4 or 5 911 calls that we'll be releasing to you guys shortly, so you can hear the chaos, some of the panic that the citizens in that apartment complex were fearing at the time. Officer Brown was able to engage a suspect in one of the hallways. An exchange of gunfire happened where Samario Austin then discarded his firearms and fled from Officer Brown. We then conducted a search of the apartment complex itself, and with the help of some of the citizens was able to locate Samario Austin in his own apartment, where he surrendered to police and admitted to the offense that happened. So I just want to point out Officer Giggs' actions that night. So he was off duty, heard this commotion, took swift action of a guy who was basically an active shooter in an apartment complex, randomly shooting. We know he shot over 20 rounds inside the complex. This is still under an investigation, so that number may fluctuate a little bit, but we know it was multiple rounds. And luckily and thankfully, nobody got hit. He did fire into a few apartments, but again, I can't emphasize enough the heroics of Gig Brown and Officer Brown and what he did to prevent somebody from getting hit. Had he not taken action, had he not jumped in, this gentleman would have continued to shoot in that apartment complex, and we don't know what would have happened. So again, I can't thank Officer Brown enough for his actions and his heroic deeds that day. So Samario Austin was charged with shooting into an occupied dwelling 3 times. He shot into 3 different apartment complexes that were occupied at the time, as well as a culpable negligence charge. Recently, he was served a 30-day eviction notice from that apartment complex, so he was upset about some things, and that seems to be the motive behind why he did what he did, is he was targeting some people he wasn't happy with. So, he admitted to everything that he did, and again, it's Officer Brown's actions that prevented somebody from seriously getting hurt last night. And then again, we have some videos that we'll be releasing. I think they may have already released one video, and we have the 911 audios that you guys should be receiving shortly. So
with Officer Brown, he was not working extra duty. He was out in uniform, and he just happened to be in the area with the firearm?
Yeah, correct, Jeff. Yeah, so he was there. He had his car in the area, so he was able to respond appropriately. But he was off duty. He was not working at the time at all. He was in personal clothes, off duty.
So, did the individual who you now arrested, was he firing at anybody in particular, or was he just randomly shooting?
So there's still a ton of interviews to do. We know by his statements he was saying he was targeting certain people for certain reasons. He randomly shot through doors that were occupied. Luckily, nobody was in the hallways that he encountered, but we know he was shooting into buildings.
So, do you know what kind of weapon he was firing? Because I heard one video last night that almost sounded like a whole lot of them.
So we did a search warrant of the house. We're still working through which ones he was using. There's tons of video we're going through. We know he had 2 weapons at the time. Officer Brown saw him. One was a handgun, one was a rifle. That it? All right, thank you.